there. Whoa, that's it. Hey, and there we are. There we
There
go.
it is.
We are live. Da 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 da.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Happy Tuesday, and welcome to After the Cook with Mel Schmeller Jr. at Dark Side of the Grill on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
Fantastic. And with me, my main man, Titletown Griller, Chris Shem.
Oh, this guy.
There you are. There
What's
you
up?
are, right there. Oh, fantastic. Oh, this is going to be a good show, man. This is going to be.
I'm excited.
Yeah. I am too. I am too. Oh man.
Be fun to pick our guest's brain a little bit. I'm sure he's got plenty to tell us, plenty of stories, and a lot of knowledge to share. So I'm excited about
Yes. Well, this is a show. Actually, Chris, I'm not going to lie to you. This is a show that's very near and dear to my heart because our guest is actually somewhat of a. He's a legend. He is a legend across the globe, man. And he's like the Godfather of barbecue up here in Canada. So, going to be absolutely amazing with all the chatting going on today. Anything else you want to cover before we jump into this, or what?
Man, I say we just jump right into it, head first.
Done deal. All right, everybody. I would like to introduce my man, Chef Ted Reeder. Here he comes.
Oh. Hey.
There we go.
There we go.
How we doing, boss?
Having a great night. How you doing, Mel? Hey, Chris.
You guys,
doing awesome, man.
For those of you that don't follow him, you can follow Ted Reeder at Ted Grills. Look him up on Instagram. Give him a follow. Hit that up now.
Yep.
And his other account just hit 2,000 followers. You want to give us that name too, Ted, before we get started? Make sure people follow both.
At Ted Reeder Barbecue, The Joint.
The Joint.
The Joint.
The Joint. Beautiful place. Absolutely.
It is a beautiful place, except for right now, it's fucking closed.
Yeah, that's welcome to Canada, eh? That's it. Yeah.
Welcome to Lockdown Central.
Oh, Lord.
Jeez. Yeah. It's not gonna lie to you, Chris, we're not having a lot of fun here. Even the people that were totally sold on this lockdown in the beginning, like everyone's faltering now, man. Everyone. It's
we're losing our minds.
Yeah, it's you give an inch and now the miles have been stolen. Right? Yeah. And it's I saw a video of a guy in Ontario trying to buy life jackets for his boat.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't let him down the sports aisle because it wasn't essential.
Right. In here in Ontario, what I call the Ford Nation shit show is we have been locked down now. Restaurants in the GTA or the Toronto core where I live, we've been locked down with restaurants haven't been open. I think it's almost 300 days, if not more than 300 days. The restaurant industry is in the shitter. The hotel industry is in the shitter. If you want to get a haircut, good luck with that. If you want to get your feet done or your nails done or a massage, not going to happen. If you want to go to the Canadian Tire, the Home Depot, the Lowe's, you're not allowed. If you want to buy a shirt, you're not allowed. You can do it online. The only stores that are open are takeout restaurants, gas stations, variety stores, grocery stores. And if you go to a Costco or a Walmart, the only thing you can buy in those stores is groceries or pharmacy. Everything else. So if you want to buy a bag of charcoal at a Costco, it's a non-essential item and you're not allowed to buy it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. You're not allowed to buy it.
You're not allowed. Not allowed. You know, a buddy of mine, James Hansy's Pit, he went into a Costco recently and he said, well, can I get some charcoal? And they're like, no, but it's essential. I cook with charcoal. And they're like, no, you can't have it. Yeah. But our liquor stores, our beer stores, and our weed stores are wide open.
Yeah.
So we can party, but we just can't do it anywhere but in your own house.
Yeah. They want you to be doped up and locked up in your bedroom and not moving. That's what they want. So
to take it one step further, Chris, you're in Ontario. You're not allowed to golf. It's the only place in the entire world right now that you are not allowed to golf. You can't play tennis. You can't go to a basketball court, right? You can't launch your boat at the lake. it's pretty. It's not fun. It's not fun. And other than that, everybody that I know, we're trying to keep safe. I'm all for wearing a mask, and I'm all for washing my hands, and I'm all for, getting a shot and making things safe. But the lockdowns are not good for mental health, and they're not. And after a while, you just get tired. You've been beaten up so much. So, I try and have a good day every day. That's all.
My major beef is like the malls are still packed.
Yes.
The Costco still, there's lineups where people are 2 inches from each other, 1,000 people deep. Right.
Well, our malls are closed here in Ontario.
Okay, good.
Well,
good.
We can't even go to the mall. It's just Ford Nation shit show. That's the hashtag here, and that's all we can say. But other than that, I got my health. I feel good, and I get to barbecue every day. So how bad is that?
Exactly. That's exactly it. So yeah, Chris, there you go. That's what Canada's doing.
Man.
Yeah. I try and be positive about it every week we do this, right? But like it's getting to the point now where when I saw Memphis in May, I was like, okay, that's a bit crazy now. I should probably be trying to get across the border, right?
Right.
Then I tried to go for my second shot, and they were like, no, we still haven't finished the first round. No one's getting second shots. You're going to have to wait. So now you can't travel anyway because you can't get your second shot. And the state's pretty much open, like in most places. It's crazy.
You can walk across the border, Mel. You can walk across the border. That's okay.
Yeah.
You just can't drive. You could fly across the border.
Yeah.
You're okay to fly, but the U.S. would prefer that you have 2 shots.
Yeah.
And you have to have what I've been told is, I think, 105 days between shots.
Yep.
Yeah.
Crazy, man. Just
I'm gonna have a shot right now. I'm having my AstraZeneca, and I'm going with a little shot of tequila. So cheers.
Right on, cheers, man. I got that Elijah Craig going today. That's for the onk. There you go.
I love Elijah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She's a tasty beverage. Beverage.
Yeah.
So, you got questions? What do you want to know?
I got so many questions, Unc.
Where do you start?
What was the first? How old were you when you wrote your first book?
30. Yeah, 30.
Yeah.
30. I was the corporate executive chef of President's Choice Loblaws grocery store chain.
Yep.
And I was hired to come in and create a number of the recipes for a cookbook that they were launching in 1993. Yep. And it was called the Dave Nicholl, the President's Choice Dave Nicholl Cookbook. Dave Nicholl was the president of President's Choice. He was the guy that put the whole program together with his team. And so I was brought in. I was catering, and I had catered an event for his wife, and she loved my food. And one Christmas, she said, if you ever want a job with Loblaws, just ask. And I said, I'm asking. And shortly later, I was working. And my first project was to write a menu for President's Choice on using their products. And we ran it at the Sutton Place Hotel for a month. This is back in 1993. We were flying in Wagyu beef from Kobe, Japan. We were bringing in pink-shelled mussels and or pink-shelled scallops from BC, fresh. And it was crazy. I mean, back then in 93, Wagyu beef was running at about $125 to $150 a pound.
Wow.
And it's still it's expensive. It's sometimes a little bit more than that. But it was A5. It was white. And they brought this chef in from Japan. We had to fly this chef in. He was the corporate chef of I think it was the Okura Hotel. And his job was to train us on how to work with Wagyu beef. Yep. So we had these whole strip loins, and he came in, and we're in our chef whites, and he unwraps it, and he pats it dry with some paper towel, and then he takes out his knife, and he trims it like we would a normal strip loin. And then he says, slice it thin, slice it thick. Where's Niagara Falls? And that was the last we saw of him. He was gone. And so we went about, but that was 1993 was the first book. That book sold 125,000 copies in 1 week. Wow. And we did a second print run, and it sold 125 copies by the end of that insider's report. It was crazy. It was a recipe book on how to work with President's Choice products. And so part of my background and my overall career, which a lot of people don't know, is I started cooking at an early age, probably when I was about 6. My first job was washing dishes at the Holiday Inn in Brantford, Ontario. I was probably about 14 or 15 years old, and I went to the chef and I said, this washing dishes is just a shitty job. And he said, yes, it is. And I said, how do I learn to cook? He says, get the fucking dishes done and I'll teach you to cook. Yep. So I am a master dishwasher. Like it is, if I ever retire, I'm going back to washing dishes and just chill out because it's easy. Give me a 6-pack. Don't fucking bother me and let me wash my dishes and let me chill out because you guys on the line can deal with all that shit. Yep. I went to George Brown College. I did a culinary management program. And from there, I worked for a fishing and hunting lodge, ended up in Banff, Alberta, working for Sunshine Village Ski Resort. I was 24 years of age or 23, what would have been? I would have been 83, 84, 85. So I would have been 22 years of age. And I was sous chef of the Sunshine Village Ski Resort. And I skied by day and worked the line at night, had Fridays and Saturdays off and partied and had a great time. Came back to Toronto and started working for a restaurant chain, eventually ended up as executive sous chef of a little place called the Rogers Center, the Sky Dome. And so I was 26 years of age when I was the exec sous and then became the chef of the Sky Dome Hotel. And left there, went to a catering company, worked for my best friend. And then Terry Nicholl found me, introduced me to Dave Nicholl, and then I got into the product development game. So I've developed probably over 500 to 600 food products that appear on grocery store shelves throughout North America. Yep. And I still do that. I teach part-time at Niagara College product innovation on how do you take a concept of an idea of a recipe and turn it into something, like this that's in the shelf on the store. And so you create a recipe, you create a formulation, you find a plant, a processor, and you work out the details and you go through that. For 20 years, I worked for a company out of the United States and Canada where I consulted on their barbecue program. So it was based out of Chicago, and I would help develop fully cooked ribs, fully cooked pulled pork, brisket, but for the food service industry. So we supplied ribs to TGI Fridays, to Outback restaurant chain, little guys, big guys, we did ribs for KFC, for Burger King, for Little Caesars Pizza. And so my job was to figure out how to create that formulation that our customer would like and their customers would like. And so when I was filling a smoker, it wasn't a smoker with 30 pounds or even 100 pounds of brisket. It was a smoker with, 5,000 pounds worth of brisket going in there, 5,000 racks of ribs. And then and when you put that much food into one big smoker, if you screw it up, it's a pretty expensive mistake. Yeah. So it was that part of my life I love. I love that creative development. Yep. Where a client comes to me and says, hey, I'm a vegetarian company and I want to have a vegetarian burger. And I've developed thousands of different styles of burgers, not thousands, but a shit ton of them for different companies. And I'm like, so you want a vegetarian burger? Yes. And so my question was, well, what do you want? And they said, well, we want it to be gluten-free and soy-free and dairy-free and nut-free. And we want it to be made with vegetables and we want it to be delicious. And I said, you'd probably want low fat too and low sodium. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, we're never going to get it to be delicious at that point. We've got to change the way. And I think it took me 28 tries with my crew to get that vegetarian burger to where I thought it was awesome. The only thing about it is that it's not well, it is gluten-free. It's just not vegan.
Yeah.
And it's vegetarian because we use an egg white powder in the product to bind it together.
So you need
Because if you don't have something to bind it, it just ends up being mushy. And these burgers ended up being made from approximately 80% pure vegetables. So one of them, the first one that I developed, had yellow corn, yellow carrots, yellow onions, yellow lentils, garlic, salt, pepper, and curry powder. And the burger was bright yellow. And then it went to a green one we developed that was spinach and broccoli based and bean based. And then we went to a purple one that was beet and black bean and chili based. And these burgers were fully cooked, and they launched on the market in Canada about 3.5 years ago. They're called Holy Veggie, and they're now in the United States in a number of different grocery stores and retailers. And the coolest thing about this vegetarian burger is that you can take it out of the package, put it in your toaster, and heat it up. And so that's my life in product innovation and product development. I love it. It's a puzzle, and you have to tweak and twist and work and think and find the plant and what's the equipment, and the variables are just so much fun. For me, that's the excitement. Yeah, I'm a little ADD, so I need to keep moving and doing shit.
That is fantastic. That is so cool. It's really neat because I was wondering as you were going on talking about using all the veggies and making it free of all this other stuff, how you were going to use or what you were going to use for your binder to keep it together. What made you use a powdered egg white for the binder instead of your traditional wet egg white?
The one, it's powdered egg white, is more efficient. You don't have to worry about shelf life. This processing plant, when you're dealing with fresh egg whites, they don't have they have to be pasteurized and processed, and it gives a different texture and reaction to when you're bringing it all together. The powdered egg white gives you the density that you're looking for, that mouthfeel. So when if you've ever had the Beyond Meat burger, and you should try them because they're interesting. And they're not, it's designed to look like a burger and have the texture of a burger and taste similar to a burger, but it's vegan. But it's brown. And so it looks just like a hamburger. And when you compare if you go to beef and then you look at a Beyond Meat burger, a ground beef burger is ground beef. You pick the cut you want, brisket, chuck, short rib, eye of the round, whatever you want to use, you make your burger from it. It's one ingredient beef. When you get into the Beyond Meat burger, there's probably 9 or 10 different ingredients that they use, and they're using a centrifuge, and they're using a whole bunch of different processes scientifically to create this burger, to encapsulate the fat and the juices, to keep them in that burger, to give it moisture and succulence. And from a science and a development perspective, that's a phenomenal product. Does it do it for me? No, but it works for a lot of people, and it's a segment of the market that's growing. And as barbecue guys, we have to be innovative. We need to cook not just meat. I said that, but I don't really mean it. I want you to eat lots of meat, but being able, because not everybody eats everything.
No,
and
you're right.
My philosophy is if you want to eat, you should be entitled to eat whatever you want. You might want to eat a well-done steak. I might not agree with it, but who am I to tell you that you're wrong?
No, right? You're absolutely right. And everyone gets arrogant about that. Like, you shouldn't even support the industry, right? Don't even try one because then they'll make more. But you're right. Whatever you choose to eat, you should have the right to have the best of whatever it is.
Yeah,
that's on you. So
exactly. My job in this barbecue world is to inspire people to get outside and grill. And I don't care what you grill or what you smoke or what you cook over an open fire. It can be a cauliflower, it can be a burger, it can be a steak. That's up to you. But my goal is get in your backyard and cook, because when you're back there, that feeling, for me, it's romance. It's there's the fire, it's dancing, it's getting hot, it's producing a smoke. It's producing flavor. There's an aroma. And then it doesn't matter what you're cooking, whether it's a chicken thigh or a hamburger, you go to that cook and you adapt to whatever piece of equipment you're working with. And in the end, when you're said and done, if you eat it and you ruin your t-shirt, you've done a great job. And that's it. Make yourself 100%. Happy when you cook and when you eat.
Yep. No, I agree. We push this whole one grill thing. This is we dig into that pretty hard because there's so many people in the barbecue world, and they get stuck on their type of cooking, and that's all they want to do is talk to the people in that genre and they stiff upper lip at the other stuff. And this is a big thing for us. We just push getting out there.
Yeah.
Getting out there, getting to cooking, elevating your family's meals. Whatever it takes, whatever you're doing it on, whether it's on a shopping cart over a fire. I don't care. Yeah. You're out there and you're doing it. You're bringing the kids around. That's the whole name of the game right there.
That's it. You want to have, for me, when I get to come in the backyard and I fire it up, and whether it's a gas grill or it's going to be, a Kamado or a pit, it all depends on how much time I have, how much my children have aggravated me, what's on my shit to do list, and where I need to be in 2 or 3 hours, and how much time. So sometimes, I fire up my gas grill. Sometimes I fire up the Kamado because I want to do it a little bit differently. And that part, I try not to cook the same thing twice. I want to do it a little bit more. I want to play every day. I want to learn. I don't want to become complacent. I'm not afraid to learn and not afraid to say that I'm wrong, although I'm never wrong according to my staff.
Well, that's one of the things I try not to cook brisket all the time because it's great every single time I have it. Everyone at work, they love it. You cook brisket, everyone wants to eat the brisket, right? I don't want to ruin it for myself.
Yeah.
So I get excited about spot prawns. I get excited about, something else all the time, keeping it different. So when I come back to the brisket, it's like a royal thing to do. You know what I mean?
It's a treat.
Because I could cook one 3 times a week, but I think I would ruin it, and I don't want to do that.
So, well, I look at the joint, and for our restaurant, when we open up again, and hopefully in a couple of weeks or 2.5 weeks from now, we're about brisket and burgers. And our briskets, we use certified Angus beef or prime, and it's not the high end, but it's not low end, right? It's a good, great quality, consistent, good valued cut of meat, and we cook that every day. And my pit master at Chef Bender, Ezio is his name. You've met the Ezio. And he takes a lot of pride when it comes to running my barrel and running those smokers. He is meticulous. He's careful. He's cautious, and he has fun, and he's focused and forthright with it. And I'm lucky to have a guy that can tend those pits every day. Rasta Care Bear is another one that does some work for me, and he's been with me for years. And most of the guys that end up working for me were my students. And it's they said, "Hey, chef, can I come and work an event with you?" And I'm like, "Sure, I can use an extra pair of hands. We're catering a wedding. We got Bridezilla going on." And so they would come and they would learn. And the ones that were super and solid, they've been with me for years. And there's guys and girls all over the place that, if I said, "Hey, you want to come and play and do some barbecue?" They'll be, "Yeah, I'd love to come back and hit the pits with you." So we try to inspire people to have fun, to enjoy the work about creating food for others.
Yeah, it's something else.
Yeah.
So Chris, when I was up in Toronto there the last time, Uncle Ted put on a socially distanced barbecue gathering when it was still legal to.
With his
still open. It was amazing, man. All the big guns came out, like the owners from Dixon's and all the it was good. It was a nice socially distanced meal, but Ted and his boys, ECO, right, Rasta Care, they cooked the most interesting barbecue meals you've ever seen, man. Like I can't even. He was so off the wall with this dinner. Like it was, and everything was perfect. Like so,
I fucked up a couple things, but it was all pretty good.
Nobody
they were, man. Those like ghost pepper chicken heads.
I was gonna say, wasn't there something about feeding chicken heads to chickens?
Yes,
yeah,
that was one
the
of the
gorilla barbecue.
Yes.
He was feeding chicken head. You can't be feeding my chickens chicken heads.
Yeah,
because they'll eat them.
They did. They totally did. Yeah, that was
the Rondas are a bunch of crazy girls.
Oh, yeah. No, it was something else, man. Everything about that meal was just and you could tell. Like even the boys all came out and they're like, "So, what?" And you knew they gave a total shit about what everybody thought of every single thing. And that's when you know when
I think my
everyone
favorite
there
was the lamb's tongue.
Yes, everything was just unbelievable, man.
Lamb's tongue.
It was fun. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful night. That was a good. Yeah. We're gonna have to do that again if they ever open anything up.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah.
So that's a true statement right there. That is a true statement.
Was wasted.
Mel was wasted. I think Uncle Jeremy paid the bartender lady a few extra dollars to keep feeding me because they were like, it was a great night. It was a great night.
Fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even that one guy, Chris, swimming in the pond was a good evening.
Yeah, that was hilarious. Right in the drink. Yeah, that was a good time. Yeah.
Having some fun. And that's what life is about.
It sure is.
My philosophy, and everybody has their own. I just want to cook to enjoy it. Yep. And so wherever I go, it's about making some good food and having a good time and enjoying your friends and your comrades and meeting new people and playing. And I've been privileged to be able, through my career, to be able to travel the globe and perform and cook and share my love of barbecue with all kinds of people and get them inspired to fire things up and try something different. And watching through social media over this last year, the game where people were a year ago or 15 months ago, where their level of cooking was and where they are now has skyrocketed. Oh, yeah. Everybody that I'm following and I'm seeing in social media has upped their game every week. They're trying harder. They're shopping better. They're looking for the best ingredients. They're taking their time to prepare that recipe, and they're sharing it with their family and their friends and the world through social media. And that's exciting. That to be on that, as much as COVID is a shit show. The world is cooking more today than they were a year ago. And they're embracing food, and they want to be excited about food, and they want to share those experiences. And it's not just about crazy. It's just about everything, from a cup of coffee to a donut to whatever it's going to be. That food excitement, that drink excitement, I think is one of the things that helped everybody in this world get through and still continue to get through COVID.
Yeah.
Because COVID sucks.
Oh, it sure does. I do have to say, it kind of seems like barbecue and cooking in general was on a huge rise already when COVID hit. And then all of a sudden, everyone had all kinds of time, and it exploded.
Yeah.
Right? Because I remember being at Oktoberfest with Chris in Atlanta, and this was the year before COVID, right?
Yeah.
And it was just before things started to go sideways. And we were out. There's thousands of people there. And even Big Green Egg said, this is a super successful event. People from all over the world were just piling in there. And everyone was more focused than they had ever been. Yeah. And all of a sudden, the TV shows, right? Everywhere you look in the media now, it's all about cooking. Yeah, barbecue.
It's all about food and flavor and getting excited about it. And that to me, I think is the greatest joy that we've had over this year, to see it I remember being in Prague in 2019 for a burger festival.
Yep.
And it was packed. It was crazy. It was insane and so much fun. And just cooking burgers from the hip. No idea what I was doing when I went up on stage and what I was going to create. It was just, I knew I had beef, I knew I had chicken, or I knew I had some fruits and vegetables, and I looked at the equipment and then said, okay, let's just cook. And for me, I think I love that no holds barred kind of feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, I say to my guys, just go pick some ingredients and stick them up on stage. And well, when are you going to look at those ingredients? 5 minutes before my demo. Well, what are you going to make? I have no idea, but put it up there and I'll figure it out when I get there. And that I find gives a better show. And it also, for me, it's more inspirational because now I got to think, I got to work real hard. And I don't like easy work. I like to bust my nuts all day long.
Yeah, you know, doing something like that pushes you to try something that you wouldn't do if you had to go up there and say, "Hey, I'm gonna pick something out that I want to cook, and it's gonna be, you know, no doubt it would be good."
Yeah.
But
well, that's
not feel challenged.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris, he would love a big green egg event. Hey, so what are we cooking today? I don't know. We should probably open the coolers. That's
right. I mean, we did a little egg. Jeremy came by. We did an Eggtoberfest or a small egg fest in 2019 at Dixon Barbecue. And we had 15 food stations going and just having fun. And it was all with eggs. We took, I think the coolest thing we did that day is I took sugar cane and Rasta Care. I said to Rasta Care Bear, I said, listen, I need you to make me a grill grate out of sugar cane that can fit in an extra large egg. And he's like, well, what do you mean? I said, well, get sugar cane and cut it and strap it and tie it in there so that it sits there. And then we cook on top of it. And so you had the fire down below. There was no plate setter. The sugar cane was your plate setter. The sugar cane was your grill. You monitored your time and your temp, and that was it. And we cooked. I think we did jerk pork loins. And it was so much fun. And looking at different things that you can be inspired to do or try to do, and I think it's just great. You know, you watch guys like Sasquatch Barbecue. I think he's awesome. Just I look at you, Mel. You're like, you push the boundaries. You're passionate about it. You love it. And that to me is if I can inspire anybody just to get out there and go, fuck, I want it. That's it. My job's done. I've had a good life. I can share my knowledge. I can't take it with me. I want to give it to anybody that wants it. You want to learn how to barbecue, you want to learn how to grill, you want to learn how to light a fire, happy to teach it. Happy to share it with you, because there's nothing better than when you make a new friend in barbecue than sitting down and sharing a cocktail and sharing a meal and talking shit and having fun, just like this podcast.
Yep. Exactly.
Exactly.
This is kind of why we started this. So we started this in COVID, and it was because this was the part we missed the most. We're still doing the cooking, but it's not together. At least we can sit down and have a drink together at the end of it, right?
Right.
So,
but Eggtoberfest will probably happen this year, I would think.
I don't know. It's a pretty cautious brand, Ted.
Yeah.
They're I would hope so, but I was surprised Memphis and May went, but they went, and they went good.
Shout out to Myron Mixon and his team. Congratulations. 5 championships.
Crazy.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Winning a son of a bitch in barbecue.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's now believable.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fantastic. I remember we were I was working for Loblaws, and we were working on the President's Choice barbecue cookbook, and this would have been 1994 after the Dave Nicholl book. So that was my second book, and it was mostly grilling, but they sent me and the company photographer and a food writer, and we went to Memphis for Memphis in May.
Yep.
And we got there and we're walking around. None of us had ever been. I'd never been. And we're walking around and we can't taste anything. You can't go in because everybody's booth is a private booth.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, this is going to be a waste of time because we're not going to learn anything. And I said, well, we got a budget. So we went into town, bought a case of Jack Daniels. I put the bottles in my knapsack. And every time I wanted to go into a barbecue tent, I gave them a bottle of Jack and went in, and they talked to me about barbecue. And I tasted barbecue and I saw what they were doing, and I was inspired and I learned. And I said to myself, this is a pretty amazing aspect because it's one step further than I've ever done in the world of barbecue that I was learning and where I started. And so it opened my eyes, and it brought me to another level where I could say, okay, let's change this. Let's change this. And throughout my career, different people have influenced me in the way that I cook and how I act and what I do. And you can't forget those people, because those are the ones that helped mold you into the person you are today. And I look at my chef at the Sky Dome, Nigel Shute. Nigel, if you're listening, you're living in Taiwan. He's like 60 years of age. He just closed his bar because of COVID and decided that he would open up. He's Scottish, so he opened up a Scottish fish and chip store. And he's got 3 food trucks out in the parks, and he's going like crazy, and he's having fun. So that's even at 60 years of age, and you've been in the trenches your entire career. He had to switch. I call it, and there's a book out there, and I make my students read this book, and it's called Who Moved My Cheese? And when COVID moved in, it moved all of our cheeses. And our shit got moved. And if you wanted to move forward, you had to move your own cheese. You had to dig deep. You have to dig down, and you got to go, okay, how am I going to make a change in my life? Because everything is shit.
Yeah.
And that's a fact. And my shit is different than your shit, and your shit. It's just shit. And we've all got to deal with our shit, and how we move it and deal with it and push it aside and solve the problems and develop into new areas makes us stronger, makes us better. At least that's my philosophy. It could be full of shit, but we try.
I love it, man.
I agree. I think it will push us, and it'll make it so once we do get on the other side of all of this, and I got to admit, guys, this past weekend, I almost had a normal weekend. It was fantastic. We got to visit people, didn't have to wear masks. But I think it's going to make us appreciate those moments that much better and that much more. It is to the point where as we start to open up down here and things start getting back to, I hate the term, but the new normal, a lot of what we plan, it's planned around food. At least in, my circle with my friends, it's like we're going to get together and they're like, okay, well, what are you going to cook? And I'm like, well, what should I cook? And it's kind of the fun behind it. But, then we put this extra pressure on ourselves too. We're like, okay, well, we haven't gotten together with this friend now a year and a half. I got to make something awesome, or I got to try something new. And, and I think that's part of the fun too.
Well, my wife completely loves COVID, so she doesn't have to deal with anybody. Right. Except for me.
Yeah.
But that's it's I don't know when we're going to get that kind of normal, or just be able to go out. I know this will pass. I know it will end. Every week there, you got up days and down days, and to be able to have a normal weekend, that I'm looking forward to that. Last weekend I went on a 4-hour drive to Ottawa with my wife and kids, dropped off a delivery of sauce and spices to a new customer, and then another 4-hour drive home. And because there was nothing, that's the only thing we could do.
Yeah.
And you look at a variety store when you're filling up with gas, and you go in and you look at it in a whole different light. Say, well, if I spend an extra 3 minutes in here, I could maybe find something cool to play with or eat or try, because you take an appreciation for things that just are normal and every day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and you have to be safe. It's a real thing. It's gonna, I live in the hot zone in Toronto, and I was watching a vaccination clinic about 2 miles from my house, and there was somewhere between 3,000 and 5,000 people lined up around a city block, waiting to get their shot, waiting 6, 7, 8 hours. Some of them getting up to the end and being told there's no more vaccines.
No.
And it's a scary thing. It's a frustrating thing. Thank God we have food. Thank God we can communicate like this and speak and share times with friends and with family. But we all have these hardships to deal with, and you know, I look at it this way: if I'm feeling blue, go have a cheeseburger.
Yeah,
because that makes you feel good.
This is one thing for anybody out there that's really suffering from this. My hat is off to all of the small guys that have to do a complete startup for the third time. Because a lot of them, man, this is a make it or break it, and most of them have broke it already, right?
Yeah, we're all broken. Yeah,
I felt so bad. I had a few friends that like full walk-in freezers, and they're like, we don't have any place else to send this stuff. Like we're done here. That's it. And like no one thinks of those little things, but takeout, you can't afford to keep the staff on, and if you can't afford to keep the staff on, like the house of cards folds, right?
It folds. Like we're a golf course and we're a restaurant, and they work together. Without golf, the restaurant suffers, and without the restaurant, golf suffers. And so there's hand in hand. Yep. And when they closed our patio, we're like, well, we have golf and we can do the inside, and we can continue to do takeout food, and people can do it. And then they shut down golf. And we ran for 3 more weekends and tried to run it. And we had some good days. We had some average days. We didn't have a shitty day. But in the end, you're just spinning your wheels. And you got to look at it from a finance. And you got to say, if we're going to get through the rest of this summer, and if they do open up and we can continue forward, then what we've got to do is we've got to shut down. We've got to retain our dollars. We got to focus on the 3 or 4 or 5 more weeks we've got to wait, and do something else, and build a program and tweak the menu and test something else, and get inspired to give better food, in my case, to my customers. And that's what we hope to do. Simplify our menu, make it faster, that we can get out of the, when you order a takeout order, it shouldn't take 45 minutes. But it does, because we make everything from scratch. We don't have a gas grill. We don't have an electric pellet smoker or a gas-powered smoker. It's hardwood and charcoal. Yeah. And we tend those pits all day long. And you guys know how long that takes. Briskets don't happen in 3 hours. Briskets happen in 12 to 16 or longer. And so,
Chris, I got to tell you, Chris, on a golf course, a beautiful patio right by a little pond with a bridge, right? There's chickens walking around, and you're eating some amazing barbecue, man. Eating a burger that's just, everything is top shelf, right?
Thank you.
I can't even explain to you, man. It's Ted has found a little honey hole there, holding it down just perfectly. And like I'm on the other side of the country, and I'm dying to go back. Because I had such, like, me and Jer stopped in there a couple times. Like, it was.
Yeah. Well, that picture amazing. I posted today was you sitting on the patio at the joint, chowing down on that ridiculous burger that I'd made. I can't even remember. It was filthy.
Yeah.
So let's lighten things up a little bit here.
Yeah.
One of my favorite foods is a burger. So let's talk a little burger action here. So for me, and I think one of the reasons why I like burgers so much is not necessarily the beef itself, but the using the burger as a vehicle for the toppings. And I think that's what makes it a phenomenal burger. One, I live in Wisconsin, so obviously my burgers have cheese. There's no way around that. So,
God bless you.
I don't even call it a cheeseburger. It can just be a burger, and you just take for granted that there's cheese on it.
Yeah.
But other than that, Ted, what are some of your favorite either burger toppings or kind of burger concepts, you know, the way you're going to build a burger?
Well,
that's a can of worms you just opened up.
every week on my menu, I run a creation sandwich. So I make a silly sandwich, and there are multiple levels, and I figure it out and put the things together. But some of my favorites, I have to go to this burger, and I'm closing my eyes because I'm dreaming about it, and it's a stinky burger, but just ground chuck, formed, salt, pepper, a little bit of dry garlic in there, nothing more. Brush them with a little bit of oil and throw them on a grill and cook them. But for me in a burger, I have to just go back because the meat is a very important aspect. And if you just go to the grocery store and you buy a tray pack of ground beef, you're going to have a tray pack ground beef burger. It's going to be just okay. It's not going to make you sing. It might be moist, it might be juicy, but it's not going to have the real flavor that you're looking for, that beefy flavor. You need to go to a butcher. You need to make a relationship with your butcher. You need to be able to say, hey, I'd like you to grind me some chuck, or I'd like you to grind me some, give me some brisket. And could you throw a little extra fat in it? And around the corner from my home, I got this little Italian butcher. They've been there for 40 years. And that's what I do. I go in and I say, can you give me some ground beef and put a little fat in it? And they hold up the beef and they hold up a chunk of fat and they go, is that what you want? And I'm like, yeah. And they grind it. And then I say, grind it again. And then I take that home and I can make a burger that's going to be medium rare. And it's going to be the way I absolutely want it. So making a relationship with your butcher is an important thing. And I think when you build your burger from that point, I believe in cheese. I think a burger needs cheese. One of my favorite cheeses to put on a burger is Limburger. And it's a stinky, stinky cheese, but I like it with a shit ton of thinly sliced raw onions. Red ones, white ones, sweet ones, green ones. Put them all together. To that, I would add a little bit of crispy grilled pancetta. And then the bun is the last thing I worry about, because the bun is just the vehicle to hold it, the vessel.
Right.
My personal preference is I like a soft, moist bun. A lot of people like that. Other people like it crusty. But that, for me, when you bite into that burger, there should be a balance of moist, of juiciness, some texture, some crunch. So whether the crunch comes from pickles or potato chips or hickory sticks or the bacon, you need to have you need to change the layering of flavors so that when you bite into it and you're going from the top to the bottom or the bottom to the top, all those flavors start to come into your mouth and you start to bring them together and you taste every little aspect of it. If you're weird like me, I'm an overthinker when it's things that I'm biting into, you know. Why is it that when you go to McDonald's and you get a McChicken or a junior McChicken, why is there so much black pepper in it? What is the reasoning behind why did McDonald's do that?
Yep.
And they didn't put the black pepper in there just because they felt like putting black pepper in there. There's a reason for why they put it in there.
It's hiding something.
So you taste that and not the fact that you're not eating chicken.
Well, to be honest, you are eating chicken. But the whole debate comes back to, and this is my problem in being in the world of product innovation, is, you know, when you talked about the pink slime that went into nuggets into the McChickens.
Yeah.
Well, because of the price point that they're trying to make, they're not using boneless, skinless chicken breasts. That's far too expensive. They're not using boneless, skinless chicken thighs. It's far too expensive. They're taking the carcasses, and those carcasses go through a process to extract all the meat from the bone.
Yeah.
And because it squishes those bones down and there's a separating that goes on between bone and meat, the blood plasma that's in the bone, that's what colors the meat and turns it pink.
Yeah.
It's still part of the chicken. There's not an additive or anything else. They add starches and they add seasonings. The black pepper is to enhance the flavor, to give it a little bit more bite, to change the way that your mind thinks about what is that texture. So when you're coming into a burger, what do you put on your burger? for me, the crunch has to come from whether it be bacon or potato chips or something in there or a pickle. I love raw onions. Mustard, I'm not a prepared mustard guy. I prefer Dijon, or I like something spicy. Love raw jalapenos. And it's got to be juicy, and there's got to be fat. And if you do, it's the thing I say, if you ruin your T-shirt, it was a good burger.
Yep. So, well, that's a big one for me is the pickle. Like you were pointing out, the crunch, needing the crunch in there. There are a few select burger joints that I seem to go to, and it's because of the pickle. The pickle comes out of a cold tray over ice, right? And those pickles came out of a jar that morning, and they were sliced. And when you bite that pickle, it still crunches.
Yeah.
When you put it on that burger, it's not
what
soggy.
What do you like, Chris, besides the cheese?
So there's two things that I don't eat: raw tomatoes and raw onions. Right? But I love cooked onions. So I'll do different types of cooked onions. I got to have lettuce on my burger. Because again, I think that gives you some of the crunch. I actually prefer either iceberg lettuce, or if I do romaine, I have to have some of the pieces from the bottom that are a little crispier. I'll still put some of the leafy tops on there, but I want the pieces on the bottom that are a little bit more crunch, and they go on the bottom bun. So if I'm doing, my favorite burger has kind of what I call my pub sauce, which is mayo, real coarse stone ground mustard, a little bit of horseradish, and a lot of really big pepper in it too. So I'll put a little bit of that on the bottom and on the top of the bun. Lettuce, then either 1 or 2 patties. A lot of different cheeses that I like on burgers. I am still a fan of the Kraft Singles American cheese at times for burgers, depending on what else is going on it. There's something nostalgic about the way that melts.
It's iconic. It
is.
Yeah, it works.
It does, but I just talked about this at lunch today, that I need to make a black and blue burger soon too, because I love the blue cheese. Probably American cheese. We'll say, at least 2 slices of American cheese per patty. Yeah. And if I'm doing 1 or 2 patties, onions. So one way I like to do it is if I'm doing smash burgers, I will cut the raw onions really, really thinly. And as I smash the burger down, I'll put a pile of the raw onions on top of it as I smash it down. Yeah. So when I flip it, they'll get that sear and be cooked, cooked enough. It's more of a texture of the raw onions that I don't like. No. And then I usually like some sort of kick. And I'm with you with the jalapenos. If I do the pickled jalapenos, I leave them whole. If I do raw jalapenos, I like to chop them up so it gets kind of burst more in there. Yep. And then more pub sauce. And one way that I like to do is I like to take pictures of my burgers like this. Yeah. And I can tell it's a good burger when you can just see the juices running down my elbow.
That's it. It's my daughter, and she'll kill me for this, but okay, her favorite thing on a burger is just ketchup and nothing else. And I'm trying not to sell her and get rid of her because I like her, but I mean, things have to change. So she's a little bit different, but again, I'm not eating that burger. She is. And if that's what she likes on her burger, then she's entitled to have that burger that way. She likes food simple. My son, he's like, he wants the crazy. He wants the big flavors. He wants the fat, the acid, the crisp, the crunch, the wet, the bite, all of it. I like iceberg versus bib lettuce. I like green leaf versus romaine. Mm-hmm. But there's lots of things that you can do. I like raw onions more than sauteed onions, but I like grilled onions. And so, it's a thing. I'm not a big fan of a tomato on my burger because that always ruins your T-shirt and it makes your burger wet. And most times when you get a burger and they put a tomato on it, the tomato's underripe.
Yeah.
And it's not the way, it has no flavor to it. So it's like going to Subway.
Yeah.
It said, are those tomatoes? Do they really look yellow? Are they supposed to be that color? And, right? You can multi-level. I think back, I went to this restaurant. It was called the Harmony Lunch. And I'd never been, and this producer I was working with at a television station in Kitchener-Waterloo said, you got to go to Harmony Lunch. They got famous burgers. And so he went in, and it was a pork burger. Full-on pork burger, beautiful thing. And they had it in a big stone crock. And they scooped it out with an ice cream scoop, and they dropped it onto this flat top griddle, and they pressed it down. And they had a big pile of sauteed onions, and they would warm the buns on top of the onions and then put the burger there, throw on the onions, drizzle it with mustard, and throw on a pickle, and that's what you got. And you could sit there and eat 3 or 4 or 5 of these burgers. They were so good. And so I'm watching the chef prepare them, and I'd gone maybe 5 or 6 times, and I'm going like, what do you put in your burger to make it work? Why is that texture of a pork burger? Because I left here, went home, got some ground pork and made the burger, and it was nothing like your burger. And when I asked you what was in it, you said salt and pepper.
No.
And so how is your burger different, and what are you doing, right? And so I kept going back. And one day he wasn't there, but there was a girl working the counter. And I said, so what do they do? And she spilled the beans.
Yeah.
And persistence. And then I understood. And from that, I learned. I can't spill the beans here today because that wouldn't be fair to the Harmony. But it is, it gets you get inspired. And so I have to know. I needed to know. And every time I went to Kitchener, I went to Harmony Lunch, and I'm going in for a burger. Can we try someplace else to eat? No, we're going here for a burger. That's what you're eating, right? I need to understand how they're making this burger and what they're doing. And part of it was the stone crock. And 2, the meat was always icy, icy, icy cold. And so you build those things that'll take you to that next level of a burger. Why is In-N-Out Burger such a famous burger in the U.S.? Because of its simple ingredients and the lack of what they do to it. They keep it simple, and they keep an efficient process, and you get consistency every time you do it.
Yep.
Right? It's hand leaf lettuce. It's a freshly sliced tomato that's ripe. It's freshly sliced onions. It's freshly cut fries that are fried once.
Yep.
Right? They got their sauce. They got a soft bun, and they make a good burger that's made from pure ground beef. And they got a takeout delivery drive-through system better than any other chain in North America, in the world. They got it down. And they service a good, consistent burger. Might not be the best burger in the world.
No.
But there's a lot of people that when they go to LA and they land at LAX, they're driving around over on Century Boulevard, and they're going into the In-N-Out that's there, and they're getting themselves an animal style, and that's what they're eating in the car on the way to their hotel.
Yeah.
And I've done that 1,000 fucking times.
Well, that's one thing I do have to wonder, because we're really behind here in Edmonton, especially for burger joints, except for the smaller ones, like mom and pop kind of places. But we do have one Five Guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to know if Five Guys is that amazing all over the place. I did have one Five Guys when I was in the States, but
They are very consistent.
Yes.
They have a very simple program. Again, it's a simple burger. It's smashed. It's griddled. Yep. Their fries are done one way, and they fry them in peanut oil. There's peanuts in the restaurant, so that as a customer, if you've got a peanut allergy, get the fuck out.
Yes,
right?
Yeah.
They got a simple drink menu, and you can get it with 2 patties or 1 patty. They got a hot dog, and I think that's about it. And
I mean, I think they have a grilled cheese too, but yeah.
they do cut their jalapenos fresh.
Yep. Yes, they do.
That is one of the biggest selling features, I think, because anytime you get jalapenos, 90% of the time they're pickled.
Yeah,
and
the joint we use fresh. It's got to be fresh jalapenos, because And I want them to have a bite. Like when you bite into a jalapeno, I want some spice there. I don't want one of those wimpy jalapenos.
Yeah.
I want some shit that makes your mouth sweat and your face go, and you're like, yeah, man, maybe I should take a couple of those off because they got some kick to them.
That's Ted. I got to tell you, we have a Donair joint over here. So Donair's the Euro, right?
Yeah.
It's the gyro, the same kind of thing. They make a smaller Donair here at this one place right by the house, but they put it in a Cuban press.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah. And that totally fucked my Donair game right up. Because I was like, this isn't very big. This isn't very... Why is it crunchy? Right. Why is everything all golden and melted on the inside? And it like took something that was already of quite substantial flavor, and like doubled it.
Doubled it up.
Doubled it up just by simply pressing it.
When I get to Edmonton next time, I'm going to have to go for one of those because that's, a shawarma is my son's favorite food. Yep. And he's like, let's go for shawarma. Let's go for shawarma. And it's a tasty treat, man. I love food. I think that's the most important part of my career has been the fact that I love food.
Talking about that Donair, I got goosebumps, Ted. I'm not even lying to you. That's how excited I got about that Cuban Donair. Like,
well, I think that general idea is one of the things that makes Five Guys a good burger too. One, like Ted said, they have the consistency with their process and how they make it, and they stick to that. Two, I think you get to build your own, which is cool. I mean, not a lot of places have. I mean, they literally have, I think, 12 different toppings that you can choose from, and like 4 or 5 sauces that you can add on to it. And then the other thing they do is they wrap it tightly in the tin foil after it's done. Yeah. Like especially now when you can't eat there, or if I do run there, it's usually on my lunch hour, so I bring it back to my office to eat. So by the time you get there, everything is kind of melted together. It's kind of like one of the best Philly cheesesteaks that I've ever made. I took them. The bun was about this big, but then I wrapped it in tin foil as tight as I could and put it in the oven, and then all of a sudden the bun is this big. Yeah. It's about a quarter of the size of what it was, but you bake that and let that all kind of melt together, and then you eat it. It's not beautiful. It's not the, the prettiest looking thing, but it just tastes better.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, it doesn't have to be pretty to enjoy it.
Right.
Right. No. It helps, but it doesn't have to be pretty, right? You can get in there and have a good time with it at anywhere. Right. And that's, I'm always curious that when a fast food chain comes out with a new burger, why did they do that? Why did they bring that flavor together? You want to find where it's going to take you and how it's going to take you. And that's what I like about it, right? There's never there's never a dull moment with a burger. It's either really good or it's really shitty. Yep. And you find out after the first bite which one it is.
Yeah. Well, that's what I always say about Mexican joints. My favorite, like, I want to know how good this Mexican joint is real quick. I'm ordering a beer. I want something quick before I find out if I'm staying here all night or not. I order the fish tacos.
Right.
Because they're simple, they're quick, and they're either going to be awesome or they're going to suck. And that's going to tell you how much they're putting into the rest of the menu.
Well, takeout has become a once, sometimes twice a week treat through COVID. Yep. And pizza gets a little bit boring, and you find some good pizza joints to go to. But the best takeout I've found in my neighborhood is this Vietnamese place for their com tam, which is their broken rice. And then it's topped with a griddled chicken thigh, pork chop, their steamed egg, a fried egg, shrimp on sugar cane, their fish sauce, some fresh chilies. And you sit down to that, and I haven't eaten that in a restaurant or my house in a year, but the front of my car is covered in Comtown.
So is that one of those dishes that you get the components separately and you kind of make it yourself, or do they put all that in one tray for you?
They put it all in one tray, but you it comes with the rice, and then you add whatever you want. So
Sure.
my wife wants just the pork chop and the steamed egg. I want the pork skin. I want the steamed egg, the fried egg, the pork chop, the chicken thigh, the shrimp on sugar cane. I want all the chilies that they have, all the hot sauces they have, the hoisin, the sriracha, the sambal. I make my own concoction. I got chopsticks in my truck. And we go to the park and we sit there and we eat it, and it's actually more fun than going to the restaurant.
That's awesome.
That's the type of meal that I love, and it's my 9-year-old daughter. She's my oldest. She loves that type of thing too, because she has this thing where when we sit down, she likes to take the components and say, "Okay, Dad, I'm going to build the perfect bite," or she's going to make the different combinations and try to combine that to find out what she thinks is the perfect bite. And that's a fantastic, that just as you were describing that meal, to me, that's something that we would do. We would try to take these different combinations and that's really cool.
It's like doing Tuesday night taco night, right? You put a platter out with all the salsas and ingredients, and here's the tortillas and here's the meats, and build your own and create your own flavor sensations and have a good time. And when you're all said and done, I had the taco I wanted, my wife had the one she wanted, and the kids had what they wanted, and everybody leaves happy, and nobody's losing their minds.
That's awesome.
We got Trompo in the house. Gnome from Trompo King. And Ted, Christy Canyons wanted to know if you remember her from a club in the 90s.
Which club?
You remember Christy Canyons. Come on now.
I do remember Christy Canyons.
That's hilarious. Oh, we got a bunch of animals in here. That's fantastic.
I've been to a few weird clubs in my day.
Yeah, welcome to Fort McMurray. That's it. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not allowed to do that anymore. At Divorce Lawyer Cook's breakfast.
Yeah, exactly. That's that's hilarious. No.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. Christy Canyons. Oh my God.
Ted, I got one for you. If you had to tell us which person in the food industry touched you the most, and not physically, but like actually,
I can show you where Mel touched me.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Of all the people you've came in contact with in the cooking field, which one had the most impact on you?
Dave Nicholl.
Dave Nicholl, just like that.
Dave Nicholl was the founder of President's Choice and through Loblaw grocery store chains. And he pushed you. He pushed you to be better than you were the day before. He had a lot of people, they would see him in Canada on television commercials. And back in the 90s, Jewel Osco grocery store chain carried President's Choice products. They had the decadent chocolate chip cookie down there. President's Choice was the development company that helped Walmart develop their private label brand of Great Value and Sam's Choice and Equate. That was done through, they came to Canada, they came to President's Choice and said, how do we duplicate this program? And we had teams of people living in Bentonville, Arkansas, working on these development concepts. I worked on the meat development for Walmart back then through President's Choice. And so that aspect, Dave had an amazing palate. He went to University of Western Ontario, graduated with a law degree, ended up at the Harvard graduate of Harvard Business School, worked for a financial company, and then ended up as president of President's Choice and Loblaw's grocery store chain. And he was the face of the brand, and he created, with his team, created these ideas and concepts for private label and really opened the world to this private label program. And his wife found me. I was working for this catering company, and I had hired her son to work for me. I didn't know who he was. He was working for me. But we ended up doing this catering function for a charity event for 3,000 people. And
Yep.
she came to our catering company to have lunch. And we sent a limousine to pick her up, and this other gentleman that came, and I did this 5-course luncheon for them to win this catering contract. And she got back in the car, and then they phoned and later, and they said, "Who was that chef?" And so my friend Wendy, who I went to school with, culinary school with, she said, "That's Ted Reeder. He's just a guy that loves to cook." And the next thing I know, I'm cooking for everybody at Loblaws. And I remember the first time that Dave came into, I met him at a catering function, and it was just a small event of about 15 people. And he came up to me, and he's a big man. He was like 6'3", and he was loud, and he was direct, and he never pulled his punches. He gave a punch all the way through every time. And he knew the answer before he asked the question. And he came up to me and he started talking to me about soft shell crab, just out of the blue. And I answered the questions that he asked because I knew a little bit about soft shell crab seasons now. And that was the first introduction. And then I started to cook, and he'd come in and I'd be at his house and I'd be cooking a dinner for 5 or 6 people. And, I could have been the president of this company or that company. I had no idea half the time. I just cooked. And he had a walk-in refrigerator in his kitchen in his house. And he had a pig roaster in the living room and a waterfall and a big fire pit. And he loved food. He loved food. And what he had was an amazing memory. And I was always, when I started out, I was a little bit skeptical of, what makes this guy so good? And we did this, he came in and he wanted to do a ketchup tasting. And there were 14 different styles of ketchup on the counter.
Yep.
There was Heinz Canada, Heinz USA, Heinz Great Britain, Heinz Australia. There was Hunt's. There was No Name Canada, President's Choice USA. You name the ketchup, it was on that counter. There were 14 of them. And I set up the tasting that there were 14 clear plastic glasses marked A through M on the bottom. And that was all. And he came in and he tasted all the ketchups. Then he tasted them again. And then he went, Heinz Canada, Heinz USA, Great Britain, blah, 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 no name, PC, bing, bang, boom, all the way to the end. 14 ketchups, nailed every one of them.
Yeah.
His memory for flavor, for acid, for salt, for texture was bang on every time. And that was the day that changed my life forever in the appreciation and the learning of the development of food. And that you can always strive to be better with your next dish. It's never perfect enough, but you can make it really close. And if you're going to produce, when you go to a menu and in your backyard, you cook for your family or your friends. When you work in a restaurant, you cook for the people that come to your restaurant. It could be 100 people. It could be 500 people. It could be 1,000 people. And then when you cook, though, for a grocery store chain, you're cooking for millions of people. And so things have to be geared and developed towards that general population. So it can't be too spicy, too this. You go to the Popeyes fried chicken and they have the ghost pepper wings and you try them and you go, that's not ghost pepper enough. And because if they made it ghost pepper enough, nobody would buy them because it would blow their heads off every time. And they want the repeat business. They want you to not just have the ghost pepper wings, but then take the ghost pepper sauce if you want to kick it up a little bit more. Yep. And so those are the things that you learn to develop to who your customer is going to be. And Dave was amazing. That by far number one. He didn't cook a ton. He loved food and he knew about food. And that to me, in fact, I got a phone call from his wife today. Dave hasn't been with us for 5 or 6 years, but his wife gave me a call today, and she's always awesome. And she loved my food and was, really helped take me out of that restaurant industry that I was in and give me a new career and a new opportunity to look at the food business from a completely different angle. And that aspect of the food world, I love it. I think it's so cool when you can go in a plant and watch burgers being made. I was in a plant in Georgia a couple of years ago, and I'm watching their burger production. And I said, "Who are you making all those fresh burgers for?" They were all sliders, and they were about this thick, about 2 to 3 inches thick, and square little pucks. And I'm like, "Who are you making these for?" And they said, "Oh, that's for Culver's." And I'm like, "Oh, really? That's a lot of burgers." And they said, "Yep, we do about 7 truckloads a week out of here." Right? That's what, 280,000 pounds worth of burger meat going to Culver's every week. Like, that's a lot of burger meat. And when you watch that going through the process from the raw material, whether it be fresh or frozen or a combination, to the grinding, to the blending, to the analyzing the amount of fat that's in that burger, analyzing that when the burger comes out of the press, that it is within 2 grams on either side of the target. That's where they've got to be with every patty's got to be 23 grams. And it's wild when you see, stacks and stacks and stacks, and they're ground, they're fresh, and out the door they go to the restaurant, because Culver's doesn't use a frozen burger, but they can't make that in-house. So they come in, and the bags are vacuum sealed to a certain temperature, to a certain pressure, so they don't squish the meat and doesn't extract all the moisture out of it. And then they go into Culver's, they open the bag, they drop them on the griddle with the butter, and they squish them down and press them. And when you eat the burger at Culver's and you see it being processed, you have a better understanding and a better appreciation for the burger that they make versus something else that's formed and frozen and then gets slapped on a griddle afterwards.
I have to ask, and Chris, I want your answer too for this. What's your guys' opinion on those fancy frozen burgers at the grocery store? I assume when they say a prime rib, right, or a brisket burger, be honest with me.
I developed a lot of those burgers.
Yep.
It was different 20 years ago, 25 years ago, compared to what it is today. My philosophy is very simple. Fresh is best.
Yeah.
Frozen is a great convenience. Make it work to the best of your ability. And from a health and safety, fresh burgers come out of the fridge and go on the grill. Frozen burgers come out of the freezer and go on the grill. You never thaw a frozen burger.
Exactly.
Always cook them from frozen. And that's it. That's it. Some are good, some are bad, some are mediocre.
What do you think, Chris?
Best.
So right now, I don't have any frozen patties in my freezer. Costco has one that's a sirloin burger, which has pretty good flavor. So I used to always have one of those because, a weeknight you're in a pinch, and that's a nice thing. You just chisel out the frozen patty. And throw it directly on the grill, and it's it can get you out in a pinch and can take care of it. Our grocery stores here, there's a few of them that have fresh burgers that they label, this is ribeye, this is brisket. They even have one that's labeled as New York strip too. Which for me, a ribeye burger is almost too rich. Or at least the size burger I want to make with it, I mean, if you want a double patty burger, you're not going to do a ribeye burger for that. If you're going to have a single burger, you could do a ribeye one for that. A New York strip burger, that makes me a little sad because, New York strips are one of my favorite cuts of steak. So,
I love you. Mine too.
And brisket burgers can be really, really good. Okay, as long as they're mixed with the right fat to meat ratio. When I have to choose from those three, I would probably choose the brisket almost every time. But I still like the ground chuck. If it's a burger, I am fine with the ground chuck and just give me that. I would take that over Probably
like a
over
short rib burger. I'll take a ground chuck over the short rib burger. Just one, you're going to get the same amount of fat in it. A burger should at least have 25% fat.
Mm-hmm.
Some burgers now, if you look at frozen burgers in the packaging, and if you look at it, they're talking 50% fat. So when you grill it, it just flares up and dissipates, and you end up with this tiny little burger. Where's the beef? Kind of scenario.
I'm not going to lie to you guys. On Sunday, I had Mom over, right? Mom came over for a visit. I had been cooking up a storm all Saturday and Friday, and I drank way too much, and the wife was, because whatever, Saturday was a great time, right? So Sunday was nice and easy, whatever. We were coming back from the park. We went to the park with the kids, and it was order pizza or make burgers, but I had nothing fresh. We got a sleeve of good sirloin and brisket burgers from President's Choice, right? And the way we went, and I never thought anything of it. Put it up on my stories.
Got in trouble, did you?
Holy cow, man. There's some serious. And this is the thing, y'all never just got tired and wanted to cook a good burger?
Well,
you know what I mean?
There's a level when you do this, sorry, Chris, when you cook all day long, right? When we do this for our life, we do get tired and we do want to break, and you don't want to go to the grill and cook it. And I want some convenience because you got two kids, I got two kids, and then you got a wife, and you got a wife, and I got a wife, and they're in charge. And so, right, it's sometimes we need that convenience. And do you go to a McDonald's or do you go to a White Castle? Yeah, you might go to a White Castle when you're out having a good time and you want something greasy at 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Right? And then you're chucking it out the window at 5 a.m.
Yeah. And that's just it. You have your options. And like I said, those frozen burgers are for when you don't feel like making a gourmet meal, when 4 extra people show up, and, and you're like, well, what can I quick do? And your other option is either you can make those frozen patties, which are readily available, easy to cook, and still by the time you dress it up, it's going to taste really good. Or you're going to go to a fast food where even though it's a burger, it's probably not going to be as good as what you're going to make. And to that, I would just say fuck them.
Yeah.
The people that are going to hate on that,
because you know what, we need that. We need a break. Everybody needs a break, and convenience. Listen, if anybody is going to make a frozen burger taste good, it's going to be one of the three of us. Okay.
Yeah.
And so if you're going to cook a frozen burger, I've been in the grocery industry and the restaurant industry my entire career. And the bottom line is people don't have the time like I do to cook food, or like you do, right? And so they want that convenience. And if you can show them how do you take a frozen burger and turn it into an outstanding burger, well, that's our job, because not everybody's going to do, can I make that burger recipe, with all those crazy toppings and just buy a frozen burger? Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Right? But fresh is always best.
You might be familiar with these, the Stampede patties, the bear paws.
Yes.
I don't know why, but since the 80s, those stupid things have been just fantastic. And I don't know, it's like a regional burger, Chris. It looks like a bear paw. And they're a burger they serve at the Calgary Stampede, but they tend to hit all of our grocery stores regionally for a while before and after the Stampede. And I don't know what's different about them, but my entire life around the Stampede time, Dad would buy these stupid bear paws just because something in his head was oh, the bear paws, we need to get these for no reason.
Yeah.
And they've molded childhood for all
Years.
of the G.I. Joe era kids. Now, as soon as someone mentions bear paw, they're like, yeah, I need
Stampede
that.
burger.
Yeah.
Well, that was the Stampede burgers are, I believe, still made by a company called Centennial Foods out of Calgary.
Yep.
And they're a food service company. Centennial was owned by a guy by the name of Ron Kovitz and Bob Califf. And those two guys, they made the President's Choice burgers.
Yep.
And that was it. But they made that Stampede burger. And if I believe so, with that Stampede burger, it has a binder in it so that you have a firmer texture and you don't get the big shrink or the flare up. And I believe that burger was actually developed for the Calgary Stampede because they needed a food service burger that they could run in all their concessions that was easy and consistent. Yep. And so they developed that burger, and then the bear paw became the iconic kind of shape, and that was the development way. And that's got to be 30 years ago or more. And I mean, we see them here right now when Stampede comes. There they are in the freezer case, Stampede burgers.
And that's the classic dad move. And now I'm that dad too, where it's like, no, we got to buy these ones. They don't shrink.
Yeah.
And how do you argue with that mentality? I don't know what's in them. Don't care. They don't shrink. They got to be good. That's it. Like,
I think my favorite frozen burgers of all the burgers that I've ever been involved with or grilled was the President's Choice Kobe burger. And it wasn't made with Kobe beef, but it was made with this Kobe sauce at President's Choice that we developed. And the sauce was loaded with garlic and ginger and soy and tamari. And that was, and it's a very complicated recipe, and it's got a little bit of chili in it and pepper and the right amount of salt. And Dave Nicholl loved that sauce. It was, I have a black and red suede jacket with a Kobe mask on the back of it that was part of that sauce lineup. And we got jackets when it launched, and we did Kobe burgers and Kobe beef ribs, and the Kobe sauce was poured out of the jar and put on things. And it became this thing. But the Kobe burgers, that sauce that went into the ground meat mixture. Yep. And the key was the seasoning blend that was where even the salt had, every grain of salt was encapsulated. So there was a little barrier on the outside, and that barrier would keep the moisture help keep the moisture in the burger.
Yep.
And it was amazing, and it was juicy, and it was delicious. But it's not the same because processing has changed. Processing has become more efficient, and they've really tried to, it's all about, the unfortunate thing in the food world and in all the businesses, it's all run by CFOs.
Yeah.
So if it's not making money, it's not a great product.
Yep.
It can be the best steak in the world, but if you can't sell 20 billion of them, then it's not a good steak at all.
Yeah.
What kind of steak can you sell, right? And that's the grocery store mentality. Is it's a price game. It's not about the quality of the product. Mac and cheese, Kraft Dinner, and any private label brand Kraft style cheese dinner, mac and cheese. When the price of cheese goes up, the amount of cheese in the package goes down.
Yeah.
And so the formulation, back in the 60s when it came out, KD, the original, there was a formulation, and it probably stayed that same. But then when the price game came in, it was change the formula. So you take out the cheese and you replace it with more starch, or you replace it with an enhancer. And that's where stuff has morphed and modified over the years. You make a mac and cheese at home, and you put cheese in it and butter and a little bit of flour or a binder, and you've got cream. That's a mac and cheese. Mm-hmm. You're not going to get that when you buy a tray of Stouffer's and put it in your oven. What you're going to get from a tray of Stouffer's is convenience. You're going to get flavor. You're going to get salt. You're going to get everything that makes you desire it and bring you back to buy it again and go, that's a decent mac and cheese, and it just made my life easy.
Yeah.
And that's what people want is they want some easy, they want some convenience, but they also want to know how to do it from scratch so that they can go to their yard and do it. They might not do it every day like we do, but they might do it at least once or twice or 3 times a week and give their family a better dinner, whether it's going to be a grilled burger, a steak, or a chicken finger, or mac and cheese, or vegetables. It doesn't matter. We want people to cook. Get out and cook.
I got in a huge argument with a guy at work. So the whole Kobe beef versus the American Wagyu beef. Alberta has like a Holstein cross with a Wagyu, right? There's like so many different levels of Kobe beef, Wagyu beef, whatever, right? And they were explaining the difference between feedlots and grass finished versus grass fed versus blah blah blah. And all of a sudden I went Alberta on them. I couldn't hold back anymore. I was trying to be as political and polite as I could, and then I was like, you know what? Take the church out of my beef and take the government out of my beef. If you have the most incredible cow in Japan, I'm fine with you guys cloning it. That's it. I don't even care anymore. Put it through a cloning machine and give me a whole herd of the exact same cow. I'm fine with that. I'm not mad about it. Like it's
Well, if you can, it's when I first worked with that back in '93, when I worked with real Japanese Wagyu, and I was blown away. And a few years later, I went to Japan, and then I was blown out of the water.
Yeah,
because the grades of the marbling are incredible. Like one piece of meat had somewhere in the range of about 73% internal fat. It was white with little red flecks.
Is it still a steak at that point?
It's just butter.
Right.
It's just pure. It's just fat, and that it's ice cold, and they slice it paper thin, and then you have a little sauce on the side if you want. But really, they just want you to eat it as it is, and you pick it up and you put it on your tongue, and it just disintegrates. And it's incredible. Australian, Canadian, American, Wagyu, Kobe, whatever you want to call it, it will never be at the level of internal fat that you'll get in Japan.
Yeah.
That's okay. Let Japan have the best because that's where it was originated from. But the rest of the world, develop it, grow it, create that breed, and make something new that's regional. Because what you eat in Alberta and what I eat in Ontario and what you eat in Wisconsin should be different. And that your Wisconsin cheese is just as good as my Ontario cheese and is just as good as, well, you guys don't have cheese in Alberta. Just but you have that diversity and you have that creativity that the regionality needs to stay. It's nice to be able to get food from around the globe.
Yeah.
But when I go to Wisconsin, I want to get shit in Wisconsin that I can't get in Missouri or Toronto or in Calgary or around the globe. I want the shit that's not available. I go to Atlanta, Georgia to pick up Duke's mayonnaise because that's where I want it from. And when I only bring home one jar, that's a treat. I don't need 20 jars in my cupboard. I'll deal with the other mayonnaise throughout the year. But when I get there and I can go to the grocery store and it's like, okay, what do I want? I need some Texas Pete. I need some Crystal Extra Hot. I need this. I need that. And I got my shopping list and I go buy it and I bring back one bottle of each.
Yeah.
And those become the memories and they give you more passion and fuel to the food that you learned about in the city that you're in. I remember my first time to Green Bay, and I went to a veal processing plant outside of Green Bay called Provimi Veal.
Okay.
And the owner of the company was a Danish guy by the name of Ott Gruenvelt, and he had this beautiful log cabin that was on Lake Michigan. And we stayed at this casino hotel. We went to this steakhouse where you grilled your own steak.
Okay, prime quarter.
Yeah, that was it. And it was. But those are the memories, right? Like I remember partying our asses off, and at 3:00 in the morning going to a White Castle, and then the next day having to clean this guy's van because there were onions scattered throughout the entire van from the burgers. I think we ordered like 36 burgers between three of us. But those are the memories, and that was 30 years ago or 25 years ago when that flavor memory came into my head. And that processing plant of veal, they made a demi-glace. In-house veal stock reduction. That's probably the best demi-glace I've ever had in my entire life. better than any chefs I've ever made. It was perfect. It was expensive, but it was absolutely perfect. And so, you get these flavor. I have no flavor menus of Edmonton, though. Sorry, there's nothing good there. Except that Don Air guy. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But
we're getting better, but
no, you know what? I have memories of food in Edmonton and Calgary, every city I've ever been to. And because I used to work for a race car team, and we would travel the globe, and I was the team chef, and I would cook for, the crew, which was about 40 people. We had 2 cars, and then I would cook for anywhere up to 500 people over the weekend.
Yeah.
Race day could be 500 people. It could be 20 people, depending on the track you were at. And every city, all the guys would want to, they'd finish our work at the track, and they just want to go to Taco Bell, and then they drink around the pool at the hotel. And I'm like, okay, where are the drivers going to dinner tonight? What's the best restaurants in Portland, Oregon? And where am I going to go have the best burger? And I would do the research so that when I got to that town, not only did I work and get paid for my work, I used my per diem to go out to dinner to do research so that I could do that for my other part of my business. And some of the guys I was with on the team, they would get pissed off because, I would be like, well, I'm going out to dinner tonight. If you want to come with me, well, I don't want to spend $100 on dinner. I said, well, I'd gladly spend $100 on dinner and $200 on booze and have a good time tonight to learn something so I can bring that back to Canada to my friends and my fans. And those, you got to be open. You got to just be an open book and let the stuff come in so that you can go and cook and take your talent to the next step. Create the recipes that put smiles on the faces of your family and of your friends, right? Doesn't matter how the fuck I cook it. I cook it my way. You cook it your way. You cook it your way. We do what we do. Our jobs are to inspire. You want to learn how to cook on an egg? Talk to these 2 guys, right? Talk to Ray Lamb. Talk to Craig Tabor. You want to learn how to cook on a Bradley smoker? Talk to a guy like me. You want to know how to cook on a Napoleon gas grill? Talk to me. There's a million guys and girls out there that are cooking, that are pushing the boundaries every day to create great food. And I think that's all. It doesn't matter. You can criticize and you can say, oh, that's shit, or that looks like crap, or that was done wrong. Our jobs, I think, are to inspire. And to inspire and to promote and help people become better at what they're going to do when they go into their backyards. Because this is the best job ever, man. It's fun. Where else do I get to wear a bathrobe and barbecue? Like, who does that?
Mel.
I wore this just for you, Mel.
I know you did, brother. That's so awesome. It's sweet that you brought that up. The wife gets or did at one time get quite crabby at me for spending some serious cash going to a restaurant, because she knew it wasn't so much about her and spoiling her.
Right.
Because then I'm like, make sure you also order this because we need to try it. Right. And she's like, but I don't want that. So we'll get what you want, but also make sure we get like a few other things so that we can test it and taste it and whatever, right? And it wasn't until she had an aha moment with that sesame sauce. Right. It was at a Japanese fire grill dinner that we did, and she did not want to go. She just, I don't know, something about it. She was not too into it. We got another couple to go with us, right? Then she was kind of fine, and we did the hot sake on the grill and the whole 9 yards, but they were using a sesame, almost like a sesame ranch sauce to mix with the rice, with the fresh cut steak, as it was like flambéed quite quickly and then onto the plate. And as soon as I could catch what they were doing with that sesame kind of sauce and how it was like coating the rice with that blast of flame, as soon as I could recreate that, she was like, holy shit, what are you doing here? I'm like, remember that $400 meal? That's what we're doing here. That's why we, like, that will now transpire to other meals with other things.
Yeah,
just catching that one little.
That's
it's awesome.
It can be a little thing that just tweaks you, whether
Yep.
it's a slice of pizza or a hot dog, or you never know what's going to go. Oh, that's gonna. Oh, if I did this, or I brought that, or if I tried this, right? And
Yep.
it's interesting to see. It's you look at accessories, Trompo King,
Oh yeah.
and that is an accessory that is new on the market. It's not a new invention. It's been around, but now it's something that they've brought it to the forefront. They've made it an easier way to create El Pastor or shawarma in your backyard.
Yep.
And it works. And it's
Yep.
a nice thing to see, and to see these innovations in the barbecue business and how it grows and how it expands. There's 10 years ago, not even 10 years ago, there were maybe 3 pellet smoker companies on the market. And now look at how many there are.
No.
And whether you like them or you don't like them, who gives a shit? If they work for you and you make delicious, that's all that matters. And it's a great thing. But to see that, oh, we've done this, or this has been modified, the different styles of charcoal grills that are coming out now, going away from that classic kettle. Even PK grill, which was here, and then it went down here, and then they cruised along here, and they struggled, and then all of a sudden, now they're on fire.
Yeah,
and it's a great grill.
That was the steak championships.
Yep.
Yeah.
The steak championships changed the PK grill forever, because now you have an instant setup which wins awards consecutively.
Yeah.
With those tiny little steaks.
Yeah.
And those grill grates, changed the game. Was.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And that's,
the grill grates are a great product.
Oh man. Yeah. I'm sure you can cook other stuff on them, but they kill a ribeye. There's no way around it. They kill.
No, they kill it. They give you that X mark that you want. They're the grill grates. I've cooked on every piece of equipment that there is, and the grill grates, when they get hot, we use the grill grates on our Kamado in the restaurant to do our burgers.
Yep.
And sometimes the guys want to cook on the grate itself. Sometimes they want to flip over and cook on the flat surface.
Right.
And so they do both. And I don't mind, as long as that we make a burger that comes out that's juicy. And so it's neat to see how these companies have grown. Blake Carson and the Carson Rodizio.
Yes.
Blake's life in barbecue has been a roller coaster. The man is the most passionate man I've ever met when it comes to talking about the product that he's developed and his belief in his style of churrasco and barbecue. And this is what he does. It's about the flavor and about the entertainment. And he is as passionate today, if not more so today, than he was 10 years ago when I met him. And
I would love to meet him. I would love to meet that guy specifically. He's like a tragic genius.
Yeah, he's a character, man. I love him.
He's doing amazing things, and he's just so, the free shipping with FedEx. You ever hear about that shit? He blew up. He's like, I'm making a quality product here. And if you aren't going to invest in it, then I'm wasting my entire life's journey. I was like, dude, you just threw your entire life on the gauntlet for this product. I'm buying one.
Yeah.
I don't even care. I'm sold. That's it.
No, I think it's a great product. I mean, it's I like the original suitcase and I like the new version. I have, I think, 4 of the original suitcases. And they're a staple in my world for what we're doing. And you find things that you like, people say, what do I buy? Do I buy a Weber gas grill versus a Napoleon gas grill versus a Broil King gas grill? And I'm like, buy what you like. Do the research. Go out there and do the research and find out what makes a Napoleon, a Weber, and a Broil King, or whatever brand you are.
Yeah.
And people ask me, I want to buy a smoker. I'm like, how hard do you want to work? That's the first question, right? Because if you don't want to work, then buy yourself something simple. If you want to work hard, then buy yourself an offset barrel smoker and bust your nut, because it'll frustrate the living shit out of you every day of your life, because the wind's going to change, the weather's going to change, the temperature's going to be this, your chef's going to miss, the wood's going to be too wet, you're going to run out of this or that, the other thing, and it's a bigger, harder production. So figure out what you want to do, and then figure out what your budget is. Well, I want to get a new grill, but I got $200. Well, good luck with that. Buy yourself a kettle and call it a day. I don't want to do charcoal. Good luck. Figure that one out on your own.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Some questions I can't answer.
Yeah. That's good point there. Good point there. Oh. Yeah, it's I have to say, Instagram for me has been, it's been the crabby chef that you'll look back on in your golden years and be like, that was the man who changed my life.
Yeah.
But in the middle of doing Instagram, she's not so rewarding. You know what I mean? She's every day I wake up and there's like, I should do this better. Every day. Every day there's like a million reasons to hone your shit and practice more and do. But at the end of the day, you're like, wow, you've really pushed me to be a better chef. You pushed me to be a better grillman. You pushed me to be a better. But she's not so rewarding. You know what I mean? Like it's been.
It's this game is. I've been in this game. Someone asked me earlier today how many years I've been barbecuing, and I think it's about 35.
Yeah.
And full on. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to play. I wanted to learn, and 35 years in this game is a long time, and it's a struggle every day.
Yeah.
There's lots of hard work. There's, it's some cooks are super easy and some cooks are real hard. And some days are nice and some days are tough and some days kick you in the ass. And some days when you get in your truck to haul your rig out of that event at the end of the night, you're so exhausted and you're dripping wet because it pissed on you all night long, and you still had to do your show and you still had to cook food and serve 100 people. Those are days that humble you and make you feel appreciative of the work that you're doing. And as you drive home, the closer you get to home, the bigger you smile, because you realize that, hey, I worked through this hard night and I did the job I was supposed to do, and people were happy with the food. And you know what? I'm going to sleep well tonight when I get upstairs and go to bed. And that's, the simplicity. I'm not a complicated guy. I like a shot. I like a beer. I like good friends and good food. And that's really the extent of my life. I want to share my knowledge with people. And I do have a wealth of knowledge. I've done a lot of shit, but I love every minute of it. And I'm looking forward to doing more shit, because the more shit you do, the more fun you have.
100%.
That's it,
Yeah.
Life is short. We are all going to die. And it's that's the one thing we are guaranteed. We are going to die. And I want to go out my way, and I don't want to go out in a shitty way. And whatever that way is, I want it to be fun, and I want it to be delicious. If I was to drop dead with a bourbon, a beer, a joint, and a juicy cheeseburger in my hand, I've achieved everything I wanted to in that point of life. I went out with a fun time, and I look at every day that way. We have an opportunity. If COVID's done anything, it should make us realize that we are vulnerable, and that a lot of things are out of our control, and that we need to take the things that we can control, our families and our lives, and we work as best to keep those things positive and healthy, and put smiles on our children's faces every day. And when they wake up and my daughter says, what's for breakfast, what's for lunch, and what's for dinner, I know they've got their head in the right place, because those are things to look forward to. What's the next great meal? What's the next great thing you're going to barbecue? And it doesn't matter what it is. It's just make it great, whether it's chicken or Wagyu.
Right on.
Have fun with it, man.
100%.
That's
that's a great way to live, and a great outlook to have. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Yeah, it's
something we all can strive for.
We just play, right?
Right.
Just play, because and as you do, cook your food and enjoy it, because tomorrow's we don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
No?
But I'm not going to lie to you, Chris. I got a lot of my, like, I don't know, my positive vibes and cooking stuff came from Ted. The first time we did a little quiet event together, where they shot Legends of the Fall, pretty much.
Okay.
Right.
Just nestled in the Rockies. We're staring at horses that are staring at us as we're doing a fire in the hole. Like, it was amazing. It was, the whole thing was, if you ever saw Yellowstone, like, we were in that stable.
Yeah, and that guy was a real cowboy, eh? Like,
it was amazing.
He was such an amazing cowboy. Like, that's that guy. It was cool.
The food that was going around was top shelf. Fresh salmon, fresh everything. Everything was amazing. We were having a few drinks. We were having a blast.
Yeah.
And that was in the chaos, in the middle of everything and staging and time and everything else. There was still nothing but time to enjoy what you're eating, what you're drinking, and the company you're keeping.
That's
and the fact that you didn't get us in that ditch, that you got us out of that ditch as you went off the side of the road in the pickup, man, you pulled that out beautifully. It was beautiful. We could still be there down in the ditch there in the 10 feet of snow, but you managed to save our asses because we got to the bar on time.
It was, yeah, yeah, man. Like that, I held that. And even like that last event I did before the government shut us down, when I got Elvira out on the deck. All I could think in my head was, as long as I see smiling faces and a few bourbons, none of this matters. That's what it was for.
That's
right?
What it's right on.
Corporate was there. Corporate was counting tickets. Corporate was blah, 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 right? I didn't give a shit. That'll sort itself out past my time. What I need to see is the smiling faces and the bourbons. That's what I needed to. And they were there. They were there aplenty, and I was good.
Right on.
That's it, man. Cool. That's it. It's true, the term, the words peace, love, and barbecue. It's those are iconic words, and those carry a shit ton of weight in the motivation of all of those that want to get out in their backyard and smoke something, grill something, cook something, have some fun, enjoy life. That's all we can do. It's all we can do.
100%.
Work our best, play our best, and and root for whatever team you love.
Go
Steelers, go.
Let's go Oilers. Woo! That's it.
Maybe next year.
Yeah, that's it.
My Blackhawks didn't make the playoffs, so I'm a little disappointed.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Right on.
Well, I got to tell you guys, my phone is about to die.
No problem, man.
No
this
worries,
was awesome, guys. This was great.
This was fantastic.
Thank you.
And
my pleasure. Thank you.
I think we're gonna have Ted back on, since we just talked about burgers and some other stuff today. So we'll have to come back on and pick his brain on some other topics. I'd love to pick your brain on steak, and we didn't even talk a ton about the process of producing, the production stuff that you've been into for how many years, and teaching too. So we got a lot of different things we'll have to have you back on to pick your brain on.
Thank 100%. You. Anytime you want. Happy to share it. Happy to tell my stories and inspire people to get out and cook, man. Chris, I appreciate it. Mel, you're the nephew I never wanted. But I got you, and I'll keep you. And
fantastic.
All the folks that I deal with, Jeremy, I love you. All the guys, my team, everybody. I mean, it's a big world in barbecue, and it's a small world in barbecue. And it doesn't matter where you're cooking in the world and how you're cooking it. Just make it fucking tasty in the end, and that's all that matters, man. So thank you for having me on. I appreciate that.
Oh, this was fantastic, Ted. Thank you very much.
All right, man. Thank you so much.
All right, boys.
Cheers.
Have a great night, everybody.
Guys, have a good night. We will see you next week, and we'll probably head back to Instagram Live next week with our guest, Masick, Grilling with Dad. So catch us on Instagram Live. All right, guys, be
Awesome.
well. Have a good week.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.